right, everyone, we're back finally for the beginning of 2024 Supercoach. So today is the 20th of September and the team picker just came out. It came out a couple hours ago now. Busy, now I have time. Let's go through the first team. So a good principle to set before we do any of this. None of this is the final team, right? A lot of people take this as the final team. It's not. There's going to be so many changes, you'll lose track of count. Now, to address the elephant in the room, I am wearing an Eagles thing. Eagles. But it's probably the only time I'll be wearing it this year because we will get smashed by 100 points every week. We did not improve that much. All right, so first pick. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to do the first pick stuff. We're going to go defense, midfield, and ruck forwards, right? So I had this plan since last week, kind of like visually just, yeah, I could put together that Supercoach was going to come out this week. It always comes out the week of Christmas, right? So doing a bit of mental planning, I knew I wanted these three defenders. Nick Dacos, James Sicily, Tom Stewart. Now, did that take a whole heap of brain power? Nah. The three highest averaging players. Do you need to pick these guys? No. You could definitely go two of the three, even one of the three, but I don't know. Hayden Young's one that I do like. I've thought about it, but just prefer, like, all the three guys I've picked, I prefer over him. Luke Ryan, do you think that next year is going to be like this year? Same with Jack Sinclair as well. I'm going to these three safest picks. They will lose money. They will come down. I could definitely see at some point these guys all hitting like 550, 570 even. I feel safest with this after last year where I made just terrible picks that could pay off, but they didn't. So they sucked, and they made it real hard to continue playing the game. So try not to do that this year. But once we get to the forwards, you have to do that. So I love that. I love being forced into these terrible picks. So next, go with the first discounted player, which there's a bit of controversy on this, honestly. Reading through the Discords and stuff, there's a bit of controversy on Zach Williams and his price. So he received a 50% drop, 50% discount is the best way to put it, in price for this season because he missed last year. On the surface, makes complete sense. Missed all the games, you get a discount. The issue is there's been no consistency with the discounts they've given in the past. Most infamously, Tom Mitchell getting barely any discount. He was still like 615k from memory, even though he had missed a full season. Last year, I think they would try to go around with like a 40% discount if you missed every single game. This year, it's 50% for Zach Williams, not 50% for some other people. It's kind of weird. It's a weird situation. But yeah, I think I will be starting him because it's just low risk. If it doesn't pan out, go to rookie, and there's a lot of rookies available. I actually think this year's rookie class is one of the better ones we've seen in a while, and that's actually contrary to what some draft analysts are saying that outside like the top three picks is kind of a dud draft. I don't think so. I think this is going to be a draft that kind of fuels the AFL for the next couple of years. Next, first pick from this year's draft is Daniel Curtin. I think this is a no-brainer. I wish the Eagles had got him. I do. I really wish they did. But it just came down to GWS not accepting our bid, taking Adelaide's bid, and Adelaide get a great player who they've given him midfield as his DPP. I didn't do much research into him until it came out like, hey, West Coast could get two guys in the top 5 or top whatever it was. I could have sworn I've heard people say he's a defender forward instead of a defender mid. If he's a defender mid, that's great because it gives you a bit of you can move him around. Guys like Dacos and Sinclair will get time in the midfield, who will end up probably getting a midfield DPP. Yeah, there's a lot of guys here. Like Hayden Young could get midfield. Whitfield maybe. Not anymore, I don't think. But there's a couple of guys that will. So it's good just to have there as an option. I had my team up here because, of course, this isn't the first time I'm looking at it. Next, okay, so for the final spot, I just have a placeholder. I've gone with O'Sheen Mullen. He's just at the price point of a player that I think will end up in this spot. So you've got, Will Hamill, maybe he gets a game, he comes back into the team. James Leake, who I think was a this year draft pick, so he might have a year in the system. Go up a little bit, there's Patrick Parnell, who off memory I didn't think was too bad in the games he played 2 years ago. So is that right? 2 years ago? I can't remember. So yeah, I've just kind of gone with him. It's a placeholder. I know O'Sheen will play, so I think this is a good price point just for a placeholder. He's by no indication going to be in this final team. For the bench, first pick I've gone with is Nick Caulfield. New player at the Dogs. Dogs need these backmen like really bad. I think if he stays healthy, he'll get a couple of games and he'll score moderately well. Say similar to, who was the Saints guy from this past season? Oh, I can visualize him, but I can't remember his name. Nope. Liam Stocker, there he is. Same kind of deal. You bring him in super cheap, sell him off, make the profit, go to a premium. Just not really here for that much. So I don't think his scoring is going to be that crazy, even if he plays every game. He's a good interceptor though, so maybe, but I think he'll end up in a lockdown role, which is just going to lead to 40s, 50s. Your high score will be a 70. And final spot, someone I haven't really read too much into, but the name sounds cool, and I think I've heard the name going around, is James Van Ness. Saints player. Saints have lost a defender now in Nick Caulfield. Maybe he slides in, gets a spot. It could be any of these guys. There's always one of these 123k guys that play. Marty Hall could get a game. We'll just go up a bit. So we'll just go through some that could get games. I think Gibcus could find his way back into the side. Jackson Archer could find games. Granger Barras, if they think he's kind of developed enough. I think that was always the knock on him, was health, and has he developed enough to be worthy of a spot over another guy? And maybe he's got that with another postseason under his belt. Jed Adams, I think, is their pick from this year. Maybe he's someone that they could slide in, but I don't know what the situation is with Melbourne's defense. That's a wait and see. Who else? Harrison Arnold. We'll see what's going on with Sydney. Didn't the McCann brothers retire? At least one of them did, I want to say, off memory. Again, it's December, so forgive me if AFL is not completely on my mind. What we got? Tom and no Paddy. So yeah, Paddy must have retired. So maybe that opens up a spot there for him to come in and get some type of consistent games. It's consistent play. Zach Reed, I think Essendon are going to kind of just restructure their defense. They've already started. They've brought in a new ruckman, a new defender. Have they brought a new forward? I feel like they have. It's kind of just a full-scale rework going down in Essendon. Now onto the midfield. This is kind of like the top players, I guess. Like the most sexy scores, the 130s, the 150s, someone here is probably going to score 200 this year. There's always a 200 every year. First player I've gone with is not Bont, not Oliver. I'm not going to talk about the Oliver situation. Again, as of recording this 20th of December, there's been a lot of allegations against Oliver that he's been pulled over and that he's got addictions and stuff, which could really like ruin his season, ruin his career, honestly. Not going to get into that. I think it's just safest to not pick him at the moment. And we'll kind of go back to it, reassess later in the season if he's all good and ready to go. Petrarca, I think, is someone that could benefit from Oliver missing a couple of games. You just got to hope he doesn't end up forward. But I think Melbourne have made enough signings in the forward line and of forward players to kind of keep Petrarca in the midfield, make him more of a midfielder that drifts forward, kicks 1 or 2, but has your 30 touches and your contested touches and everything. He has that time in the midfield. Laird, I got burnt on last year for starting. That's not the reason why I'm not starting him this year. It's just I think that price is a bit high for 117 average. And I didn't think last year was Laird's best year by a long shot. So gonna not start him this year, take a punt on him having another weak start and building into the season, and then reassess around buys, and maybe it's time for him to come in around then. Zach Merritt, great player, someone who always does end up in the team. He always occupies that kind of like last mid on field type of spot, sometimes even higher than that. Like he's the 5th best midfielder here right now. Just not for me. 650k. He's one of these guys that always drops in price, and he's always a bargain at around about like anywhere between 550, 590 is always kind of like the realm of where he drops to, and I think that's where you really want to target him. Because I've got in defense. If you want to start him in the midfield, I think it's a good pick. It's just who are you dropping from the defense? That's the only question with that. Libba, he's been great the last, I want to say, like 3 years. Pretty under the radar just because of Bont and McRae. And Libba also has that streak in him where he could get suspended for doing something stupid. So it's not the safest pick in terms of having someone that you don't have to worry about for 22 games. Like even here, he's missed 1. I think that was an injury, though. I don't think that was a suspension. For the first pick, I've got Jordan Dawson. He's M1 to start the year. I think that this is a fair price for him. I think that he only gets better. He's still one of the best kicks in the competition. I think Adelaide are really primed to take the next step. So they missed finals off a bad call this year. Should have made finals. Should have really not left it to that. They did drop off. I think this year they're going to be better at home. They're going to be way better away. They have to be. It has to be something that's drilled into them. And I think that this could be a year that kind of propels them upwards. Maybe even a top 4 finish. We'll see. The next I have... This is a hard one. This is one that I've already gone back and forth on a couple of times. I've gone Sarong. So between Sarong and Goulden, I think Goulden has a higher... Even Alder you could chuck in this conversation. 10k more, but it is what it is. Goulden, I think, does have the highest ceiling. We saw Goulden score a couple of 160s last year. Was it 160s? It might have even been higher than that. I think there was a 170 in there. Great player, just amazing talent, super young. He's in like that portion of the prime of his career. My only issue here, and the reason why I've gone Sarong over him, is that Sydney midfield. Mills is going to miss games to start the year, but they've brought in James Jordan, they've brought in Taylor Adams, they've still got guys like Rowbottom who gets CBA somehow, whatever it is. They've still got guys there that are going to demand CBAs and demand midfield time. I don't have an issue with picking Goulden. I just think Sarong is safer right now. Once I start to see practice footage and practice numbers, preseason numbers, this could very easily be Goulden M2. I can't see him being M1 though. I think M2, M3 is a good spot for him. Next, I've gone with it's been a bit of a drop off, like going from 620k. I'm going with Sam Walsh. I think we can all admit last year was a down year for Sam Walsh, mostly because of injuries. He did cop a couple that made him miss a lot of the start of the season. But once he came back, it took a couple of games, but he really hit good form towards the end of the year. Carlton were on a hot streak. I'd say post their bye or even a little bit before it. People thought that Collingwood Carlton was a realistic grand final shot, which, I mean, that would have probably been the biggest ever grand final for Australia ever. That would be up there with Australia making the World Cup World Cup final. Having like those two big teams in there, that would just be crazy. So for Walsh, I just think he's had a good end to last year, and because of the injuries and the slow start coming back from those injuries, the price is down a bit. And I think he's definitely one of the midfielders that should be in this top 10. I think you're getting him at a bit of a bargain. Next, I've gone Josh Kelly. I swear every year I have Josh Kelly in my starting team, and then he's never in on day one, apart from the time he is and then gets injured. We'll see. I mean, he's so good to watch. The Giants team is just the most fun team to watch in football. Collingwood's actually taken that mantle, as much as I can't stand Collingwood. They've taken the mantle for having like the funnest game to watch. But the Orange Tsunami, when it's flowing, the midfielders get involved, the defense gets involved, the forwards are involved. It's so fun to watch. So that might be playing into this. Josh Kelly's injury history cannot be overlooked. He has so many injuries. But the thing is, the injuries are in spots that don't actually have a bearing on a further injury. So, like, if you have a soft tissue injury, then you're more likely to have a soft tissue injury again. It ramps up, and then you have two of them, you're more likely to have a third one. Josh Kelly doesn't really have those issues. It's more like bone issues, your pulls and your tears and stuff like that. Not really stuff that's going to come back. Freak accidents, concussions and stuff like that. Which, if you listen to CTE and stuff like that, if you have one concussion, you are more likely to have a second and third. But we're not going into that right now. The AFL's already got problems with that. Josh Kelly. And then I've got, this is one pick where I am just not sold on at all, but Discord and Twitter have sold me on it. It's Matt Crouch. 490k, let's call it 98 average last year. Just buying in that he's had a great, all the reports say he's had a great preseason so far. We're not even in the year of the season yet. But he's came in, he's looking fit. It looks like he's in the best condition of his career. We'll see how that translates to a score in 2024. This is definitely a pick that might not be here. I think it's too good to pass up right now in December. We'll see how it goes once round 1 and round 0 comes around. That's probably going to be in a later video, how, like, with round 0, I can't believe how they've done it. All right, so that pretty much concludes the premium midfielders. This is your stock standard formation in Supercoach. For the new players and stuff, it's most of the time you pick 3 premium defenders, 5 premium midfielders, 2 premium rucks, and 3 premium forwards. With exception to that rule sometimes, but it's the guns and rooks strat, right? Where you pick a couple of gun players, you pick a couple of rookies. I think every first team is under that formation. So next we've got McKershaw, Colby McKershaw, who I think instantly gets games at North. You look at how Clarkson has gone in history with top picks. He doesn't get them wrong that much. Go to 2005 or 6, one of the two, where he traded up and he got 3 Hall of Famers. It just he's a very good coach. And him having full control over everything that North Melbourne's doing. If you're a North Melbourne fan, you've got to look forward to the future. This year wasn't good, but just you got to look forward to the future. I definitely see them winning a flag soon, and by soon I don't mean like 2 years. I mean soon in like within the next decade. Yeah, Kershaw, going Riley Sanders, who I'm not gonna lie was not on. He spells it weird. I have to look up Sanders, don't I? Yeah, Riley. That's terrible spelling. Who are his parents? He wasn't on my radar, to be honest. But then Baslenka's torn his ACL. He'll be out for complete 2024 season. I don't think there's even a 1% chance he comes back. He'll be a Geelong player next year. The next game he plays. I mean, they'll get him at a discount now because he hasn't played this year. I don't see the Dogs re-signing another midfielder, even if he's as talented as Bailey Smith is. I just don't see it. They are so midfield heavy. It would actually be if you offer a contract to Bailey Smith, Bevo's got to leave. Like that's like if you do this, you're fired, and if he does it, he's fired. Yeah. So Riley Sanders, to get back to the point, Riley Sanders could get time because of that. Maybe it's time on the wing. Move McRae inside. Riley Sanders on the wing. Still gets time on field. He'll score points, right? It probably will be a slow burn type player. I don't see hundreds coming out of this pick, but it's rookies, right? You never know what's really going to happen. And then final pick, just another placeholder, Cooper Hamilton. You should be able to find time. Where he plays, I'm not too sure. The GWS midfield is infamously very hard to break into. Tom Green was struggling. He was putting up good scores and couldn't find CBAs. So I think he'll play. I just don't know where. And because of that, he's just a placeholder. 178k means that I can, by round 0, by round 1, bring in a top rookie. Like I think there's the Melbourne rookie who could get time with Oliver out. Where is he? And yes, there is a guy missing. He's going to be in the forward line. Zane Dursma could get minutes, or not just minutes, good game time and get some games into him. So he's a guy that, this opens up a swap to. Caleb Windsor could get Windsor. It's either Windsor or Windsor. The O makes me say Zor. Nick Watson, I mean, I don't know enough about him. If he's a midfielder, Hawks midfield is kind of set. Like they've got their ideas now, what they want to do with, guys like Newcomb and Will Day and, all the young guys they've got there. Giacomani, don't pick him. Harry Ralston, he sucked this year. Zane True could get time, but it depends. If we suck again, then it's going to be another play the Rooks year and see what we've got. Bedendo, he was a pick from last year. He never got games. Maybe he does this year. Jai Clark, the Geelong rookie situation will go on forever. He just doesn't play rookies. And then for the bench, I think the easiest bench pick so far is Jeremy Sharp. He's got to play, right? Like that wing spot, now that Lockie Schultz has gone to Collingwood, I think that wing spot's so open for him to just come in and play. Next, I've just got Cooper Stevens here. See if he gets games. He might just be a bench dude, like someone that just plays. We'll see. Wait and see on that one. And then final spot, because I couldn't find anyone here that I was actually really into. Like Harvey Johnston, maybe, but that's probably just West Coast bias showing. I do think Harvey Johnston will get games. I just don't know if at the start of the season. I think he looks a bit too raw. I've just gone with, what's his name? Where was he? Hugh Jackson, because it sounds like Hugh Jackman. So I just went with him. The ruck situation. This is actually harder than I thought it was. After the end of last year, I thought it was just going to be you pick English, you pick anyone else, say Marshall. Probably not Marshall. I didn't like Marshall too much last year. Like, say Gawn, and then you set and forget. Don't touch it ever again. But now that I'm seeing the prices, 715k for a ruckman, Tim English might become the best Supercoach ruckman ever, but I don't think he's worth 715k. I got burnt on 700k last year with Rory Laird, and it's really what killed my rank and just meant like I could never really build it up because I started this 700k guy. So I was just so far behind the 8 ball that it's like you're trying to build up points instead of build a lead. It's just not the best way to play. So instead, I've gone with Gawn and Grundy. Yep, we're back in 2018 again. So, Gawn is a solo ruck again. The Grundy experiment failed. They just said, all right, look, Gawn's got a couple of years left in him. He can do the job, right? And then we'll reassess once it's time for him to leave. Gawn's one of the best ruckmen I've ever seen in my life watching football. He dominates the game. He puts up numbers of a midfielder. It's just whether it's now like at the point he's a bit too old. He can't get like he didn't play 22 last year. We'll see. I do like this pick. If I wasn't to go with him, it would probably be like a Wits or a Marshall. I wouldn't touch English. I just think that you're set up for failure if you pick a over 700k player. This isn't 700k on the dot. Like I think Laird last year was 702. This is an over 700k player. Same reason I'm not picking Bont either. It's just that's way too much to pay. He will drop in price. That price is not keepable. Like you can't go higher than that. He could come out the gate averaging 129 and he will drop in points. Drop in cash, I mean. And then Grundy, it's just like I'm waiting for preseason. I want to wait and see what's going to happen. Will he be a almost solo ruckman? Because dual ruckman doesn't work with Grundy. He can't play forward. He can't kick. It's just a wait and see. Because like they've got Hayden McLean, Peter Laddams. They haven't let go of any of these guys. Like I thought they'd maybe look at moving Laddams or moving McLean. They didn't. Lockie McAndrew, he came in last year to try this dual ruck thing. He can't kick, so he's probably out of a job. Willem Green looks like their rookie they've picked. And that's it. Yeah, it's just a rough situation. We'll see if that doesn't work. I do like Matt Flynn. I thought that he was good for GWS. And I think West Coast getting him is like a good sign. It's just, I think they're going to persist with Bailey Williams. I still think Bailey Williams sucks. I think that he just looked good because he's dealing with a terrible team. Like last year's team should go down as one of the worst AFL teams ever. So yeah, Matt Flynn is going to be an interesting one. That's one that like just wait for preseason, see what's going on. And then for the bench, I've just gone with Vigo Vicentini because I don't think that call me crazy. I don't think that Goldstein's going to last all year, and I don't think that you can play Draper as a solo ruckman. They've got Nick Bryan. Maybe he'll get the time. I'm just kind of betting on they take a punt on Vicentini. That's all. Like, otherwise, this is probably going to be one of these two, Finbar Maley or Colin Livingston, just because he's got the forward ruck, and I can kind of play around with that a little bit. Which, on second thought, it is just going to be him because it makes sense once I do my forward line. So, forwards. F1 is Jack McRae. This one is a pretty, I want to say easy pick, but Luke Beveridge exists, so it's never an easy pick picking a Dogs player, especially a midfielder that has had problems actually being in the midfield. If you didn't watch the last video I did, which I kind of talked about the problems of Supercoach, this shows it. This is actually the problem I've been talking about. I'm sorting by average. There's not 100 point average Supercoach player in the forward line. All of the good ones here are midfielders. Jack McRae is a midfielder. Luke Jackson, he's ruckman. Ruck forward, or whatever. Charlie Curnow, not a Supercoach player. Shea Bolton, only good when he's in the midfield. Dusty, only good when he's in the midfield. Caleb Daniel, midfield defender. Toby Green, he's a forward, but like he's also not that Supercoach great. Dylan Moore, only good as a midfielder. Sam Flanders, who is the next pick, by the way, only good as a midfielder. So towards the end of the year, Flanders came on, he played for Gold Coast. He got some time and showed out. Like, he looked really, really good. People were saying, like, he was F1 from, like, round 18 or round 20 or something like that. So he's been a lock in people's teams for, like, 6 months now. I think he's a good F2 in this really, really bad forwards market. Just take him and see how he goes. I mean, he can't get worse. He's a young player with heaps of potential, now playing under a good coach. I don't think Stuart Dew was ever a good coach. Damien Hardwick? Yeah, it is. Damien Hardwick is a very good coach. He's won premierships. He's put runs on the board. He can build teams. He has a good game style. He just should get better. And one guy that I do think will get a lot better from playing under Hardwick is Matt Rao. If you look at the way the Tigers worked for all that time, they played really gritty, physical footy. There's no better big body midfielder that's like with a lot of potential than Matt Rao. Like, he's the best of that young bunch. In terms of being like this, like, he's jacked. He's just a massive dude. I think a midfield pairing of Flanders, Rao, Took, and Anderson, like those four, you rotate them a bit. Flanders goes forward because he's got kind of that just instinct to go forward. He can get you a goal or two. I think that the Gold Coast midfield is set. I think now they've just got to draft defenders and forwards. That's it. And it's the thing that Stuart Dew could never understand was your midfield is fine. Just go work on the other areas. Hopefully Hardwick gets that. Next, I mean, this is a drop-off and a half. There's no one here that I really like. So, like I said, Dylan Moore, only good as a midfielder. He can't find midfield time. Tex Walker is 1,000 years old. Dane Zorko, it shouldn't be playing anymore. He should have retired this year. Finlayson, no. Cameron, no. Danaher, no. Rankin, no. Tom Emmett, I don't know you. Messi, no. Keys, no. I mean, it's just he's not going to get midfield time. I'm not buying into that. I think whatever midfield time that Keys was going to get is going to go to a rookie like Curtin, right? Like, why would you not give it to a rookie and develop him? Bailey Smith, ACL. Liam Baker, if he was cheaper, if there was a 3 at the start of that, then maybe I'd look at it, but that's about it. And maybe if he has a West Coast jersey on. Mitch Owens, no. Lockie Schultz, no. Schultz is fun to watch, but yeah, that's about it. I mean, Hawkins, Adams, yeah, nah. Happily, no. Mitch Lewis, no. Oscar Allen, no. Oh, yeah, Oscar Allen should be captain. I was tempted to go get Oscar Allen's number on this jersey, but I think I might go with Harley Reid. We'll see. I mean, yeah, I could just do Harley, but give me a second. Tom Lynch is one that people are starting. I think there is a bit of Charlie Curnow in this, that you just bring him in, he'll have a game where he kicks a bag of like 5 or 6, right? Like, it will happen. Is the schedule out? AFL 2024 schedule. Is it out? It is. Well, why did I say is it? I know it is. So they play Gold Coast in, I think this is round 0. Then they play Carlton. Could he kick some against Gold Coast? Maybe. He'll kick a couple versus Richmond. I mean, versus Richmond, versus Carlton. Versus Port could be tough for him. They've got a lot of big defenders. Versus Saints, I mean, if the Saints don't have any, like, if they don't have their defense they had at the end of last year, then he could kick like 5 on them. Oh, he's got West Coast in there. That's a free 10. Yeah. Maybe it's not the worst. I'm just not into it. I think I've got other guys that I prefer. Yeah, since I'm not finding him. James Jordan. He's just a guy that couldn't find games at Melbourne. Or like find consistent midfield time that's worthy of giving him games, right? He's a very talented player. Someone that, again, I wish went to West Coast. Because we could, like, he would be a godsend. Can play inside, can play outside. For a team in Sydney that, you know, needs those inside-outside guys, he should be able to find time. It's, will he get inside mid-time? I don't know. I don't know about the CBA situation, especially with guys like Taylor Adams there now. It's just a wait and see. I don't know why he would sign with them if he's not, there's not some verbal agreement like, yeah, we do see you as an inside midfielder. Yeah, so I've gone with him for now. And then next, kind of on the same vein, is James Harmes. Another prior Melbourne guy. Midfielder, can go forward. A kind of guy that Dogs needed, to be honest. A more veteran player. Harmes is only like 28, 27. He's not the oldest guy ever, but yeah, I think it's a bit of veteran in there that will help the Dogs a bit. Can play midfield, doesn't demand time in the midfield. It's not like, you know, Bailey Smith last year. It was kind of shown like if he's not in the midfield, he can't do much for you. I don't think that's the same with Harmes. I think he can even slide into a defensive role, so he should be able to get time. And through that, I think he should be able to get enough scores because he's a Dogs player. So yeah, I've gone with him. There's a couple of guys at this price point. Let's go. Where is it? It's around about, say, 250. Nat 5. I mean, I've had the first player I picked in here was Nat 5. Not a fan. Like, it's just like he will get injured. Will he make you 150k before he gets injured? That's a push. Like, will he get, if he plays 9 games before getting injured, I think he'll be all right, because 9 games you'll be able to like go to another guy. I just don't know if he's going to play that much, to be honest with you. We'll see in preseason. The first preseason report I saw about 5 was saying that he's progressing well and he's doing like pretty good for himself for someone that is his age. We'll see. It's just not one that I want to pick right now. Elijah Hewitt, West Coast fan coming out. You know, you are on a West Coast fans channel, but I think Hewitt is one for the future for West Coast. I think they need to put some effort into developing him. I think he's more of a midfielder than a forward. He's just a crafty player. I don't really have a comparison for him, but like, I think he's going to end up with a very good career if they actually put some time into developing him. Then, I mean, you've kind of dropped down. Yeah, not really anyone I like. But yeah, so next one is Harley Reid, the number 1 pick. The guy that's compared to Dusty and Toby Green. He hasn't even played a game yet, and he's getting those comparisons. I'm hoping he's good. Like, even, you know, take off the jersey, whatever. I just hope he's good, right? Like, the amount of hype that's gone into him, I hope he's good, right? West Coast need someone like that is just very good, right? They haven't had one like that since Ben Cousins and Chris Judd and stuff like that, right? Like, hey, best player in the league, good, right? Like, they've had, Riddis, Wynnum Brownlow, but like I'm talking best player in the league type of good. And they haven't had that for a long time. And then here I've gone with old Zane Dursma. I think he's another guy that just slides in and gets games. Like, North aren't that hard a team to crack into. I reckon anyone with a good, shot at goal can get into that team. As for the bench, mostly just placeholders. I've gone with Cadman. GWS spent their first pick on him. I don't see them just dropping this. I think this is going to kind of be like Jonathan. What's his name? Jonathan something. Oh, I can't think of his name, but former number 1 pick. I think it was also for GWS. Not Jonathan Brown, Jonathan Patton. That's it, Jono Patton. I think it's going to be like that, where they just put some time into him, see what they've got, give him a couple of years, because last year was just terrible for him. Couldn't get on the end of anything. And then final spot, Archer Reed, who I think gets games, not just because his name's Reed, but because West Coast need forwards, and Jack Darling, this probably is close to Jack Darling's last year, so you better start building up some forwards. You've got Oscar Allen, who I think is someone that can kick in the... he can kick enough goals to win your games, get you into the finals, but it's not a 1 forward league anymore. You need 2 of them. And also, this just gives me this swap here as well. So if he plays, say one of these guys miss and there's an emergency, I have to get someone a score, I can get a score. So yeah, that's what I've gone with for the first team. Let's press save. I thought it was going to refresh. But yeah, let me know what you guys have done. Who was your first pick player? Who's the player that you're looking forward to seeing next year? Seeing how they develop and if they can stay at their standard or if they can go past it. I think one everyone is going to watch is Nick Dacos. Will he get better? I've already compared him to Gary Ablett. I think Gary Ablett is the best player I've ever seen play. And I think Nick Dacos would get to that level. It's a wait and see. It's, yeah. But yeah, that's the end of today. We'll have a look at teams going forward and towards... when is the normal game going to open? Probably around mid-January, I want to say. But yeah, see you all next time. Tasty out.